What should I say for the intro? Oh, crap. Hi, everybody. Welcome to World Wakers. My name's Chris.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Tyler.
And this is World Wakers. Did you hear about what was it? Epic?
Epic?
The game.
Oh, you're talking about what happened with Unity.
The Unity game engine. Did you hear what happened with the Unity game engine?
I have not heard.
So apparently they got a new CEO, and the guy is from EA, which, I mean, that's red flag number one. But
That's a big red flag.
Apparently the CEO essentially is trying to change the Unity game engine, that every time a player installs or reinstalls a Unity engine game, the game developer has to pay Unity engine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep, 20 cents.
20 cents per time.
You know how many times people delete and then re-download a game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, especially if with the Unity games, because they're so freaking buggy and sometimes they just don't download correctly or load incorrectly. And the funny thing is, Jennifer actually pointed it out that this guy at EA, he essentially put out there that he thinks that gamers should be charged every time they reload their weapon.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I haven't actually found the quote, but I mean, he's from EA, so it's kind of believable.
I mean, it's very believable.
His freaking EA is the devil, and that's just it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, no, Unity's stock plummeted yesterday, and they reportedly received death threats over this decision, so they actually closed down their offices.
Wow.
So, and the sad thing is that Valheim is being built with Unity. So now people are like, okay, is this gonna stall out what they're doing? Are they gonna have to switch? What is gonna happen? Hopefully that CEO just gets fired.
Honestly, he should, because that's honestly, when it comes to I guess what people call it hot takes, that's one of the stupidest ones they possibly could have done.
Oh, that's such a dumb take.
That's what they're trying to do. It sounds like is destroy indie gaming.
Exactly.
You know, that would destroy any indie game.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that there's a minimum threshold of either once they make $200,000 or once it's downloaded 200,000 times, then that fee would kick in. That's as soon as I think it's $200,000, because as soon as you hit 200K, it's boom, automatically a $40,000 fee based off the number of times that how many times people installed the game.
That's taking, what is that? Almost.
And that's on top of what they already owe Unity for using their engine. Yeah.
So that's that's almost like a 25% charge just for essentially having a successful game.
Yeah.
The only people that it helps out are the ones that don't sell more than a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if it's $25,000, you're at a $20 game or $15 game. That's only 100,000 people. At that point, you're literally going bankrupt if you're not making that much money.
Yeah.
Especially with the game
that's why,
right now.
Like you said, it's okay, so this guy is from EA. He's obviously trying to destroy indie games. That's a lot of people are convinced of that.
Yeah.
But the problem is Unity would just go out of business before that happened, because everyone would switch over to the other engines.
Which I know some people have already been trying to do.
Yeah.
One thing about this too, any game that ran the Unity engine that people made mods for, such as Valheim, right? The mod scene's gonna die, because sometimes you have to completely reinstall the game to fix a problem that maybe the mod just messed up, the risk you run. And so the mod scene, nobody would want to mod anymore, because game developers would basically make it so you can't mod their games, because if you mod their game and it messes up, you have to reinstall it. Mm-hmm. They're paying more money out of their pocket. So
honestly, right now, it kind of seems like when it comes to any kind of game development at all, that it's actually turning into a situation where it's turning the gamers versus the major game development, anything really, the big publishers, all that stuff. They're not none of them are putting out anything worthwhile. And I know you're really excited for Starfield, and I've been seeing some somewhat okay things about the game. And the crazy thing is the amount of negative stuff I've been seeing about it. Because I mean, for the most part, it seems like it's a somewhat fun game just to kind of like go around. I mean, if you didn't have the pronoun stuff shoved down your throat, but at the same time, it kind of makes me feel the same way that Bethesda has been doing for a long time now, where they're putting out a game that is essentially the bare bones, or the bare minimum they have to do. Essentially, the mod community, like not even a month since launch, they're already throwing stuff out there. So I'm like, some of this stuff had to take some time to actually get made, and you have so many already. Are you actually just like perpetuating your games just through like the modders and then giving them the ability to essentially fix your game before you even have it finished?
Yeah, Bethesda's been doing that for years, though.
That is true. And
but I've heard that Starfield was more finished and polished than like Fallout 4 and Fallout 70. I mean, that's not a high hurdle for Fallout 76. Apparently, better release, less buggy.
Really? Because
yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of their physics engine has been... But, I mean, then again, physics engine is perfect anyway, so...
Right, and I expect that from Bethesda games in general. I mean, how many times have you played Skyrim, and for some reason, all of a sudden, just like, something crazy happens, you know? Mm. I mean, giants can literally knock you into the atmosphere.
Yeah, that is true.
As far as Starfield goes, I've heard that it's actually not very open world. You're driven zone to zone by the story, but yeah, it's not like I've watched any gameplay, and I've only heard a little bit of what people are talking about.
So I've heard that too. That it's not as sandboxy and it's more linear. But that's if you stick to the main story. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of people that were like, I just decided to go off and do my own thing, and like there's planets and stuff you can go to that apparently aren't really part of the main story. They're part of like side quests and just things you can go explore. So
yeah, no.
I guess my question is, how populated are those planets, and are they very individualistic?
That is where the discussion has been, because they have quite a few planets. Granted, there have been some people that have noticed that there are quite a few elements that were copy-pasted with slightly different skins. And so it's kind of it's that question where it's like, is this actually enough to warrant the level of complete to be a finished game? Or is this something that could have actually been more finished, more fleshed out? And that's the big question with these game developers, is that you look at it with like Baldur's Gate, which I even read today. There's an article that the Larian Studio actually has a roadmap for more things they're going to implement with no charge whatsoever to anybody.
Yeah, that's Larian though. Larian has just always been that great, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Divinity, we got all those extra things.
Just because we bought the one, and it's like, that's amazing, that's awesome. And then with Bethesda, we already know, more times than not, any new things they add, it's going to end up being some kind of paid thing. And I don't know, I'm kind of going back and forth, because I've seen enough stuff online that I would actually like to try Starfield myself to see exactly everything that people are talking about, because sometimes things that happens in other people's games don't happen here. Some people are complaining about it because it was ported badly to the PS4 or the Xbox, depending on the one. Then again, it's always a Bethesda game. But Bethesda games used to be quality. Ever since Skyrim, it's been bare minimum, essentially. So I don't know. Especially since I think it came out on the $70 price tag, which I don't know why games have gone up at all.
That is the reason I have not bought Starfield. The other reason is because I have the Xbox Game Pass for my PC. I could download it. Mm-hmm. I could play it, but the whole reason I even want my hands on it is because I really also want to be able to mod it.
True.
That's where a lot of the fun is for me, is like, oh, I can add a new weapon that isn't part of the base game, or, you know, I do that with Fallout. I do that with any game that I can mod.
And I think that's one thing that's come up with Bethesda games, is at this point nobody cares about the actual game itself. They care about the modding capabilities. And
Exactly.
at that point, I'm going back and forth. I'm like, then most people aren't going to play the game at launch. They're going to wait for it to go on sale, and they're also going to wait for
That's
the
what I'm doing.
modders to get their hand on it so that they can actually get good mods in there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy because it's almost like a symbiotic relationship Bethesda has created where they know they only have to do the bare minimum. They have enough people that care about their games that they give them the bare minimum so that they can, essentially, the players can fix the game and finish it for free. Now, if they do the same thing that they did with Skyrim, I'm actually going to have a problem with that, because they essentially, like with that one, because you remember the remasters, right?
Yes.
Where they actually went to modders. They said they brought them on, but all they did was pay them off to get the mod, and then re-release the game at full price with other stuff, just with the mod packs pre-installed.
And then they tried charging for mods. And that was before they even added the shops that, like, what do they call that? What do they call that mod menu thing where you can buy stuff? I don't remember.
It was on the...
But, like, you can...
That was an Xbox and PlayStation. I can't remember what were they called. It was like Vault or something. But
yeah, it's not even just for that. You could buy mods on your PC, too. You know, it was stuff that they hired. Basically, they paid mod people to make mods, and then you could buy them, and they're basically like mini DLC. So there weren't mods in the sense that you're adding. Well, what modders do? Modders do something completely different. I don't know. It just felt like basically mini DLC rather than mod.
Yeah.
Mods change things that just like a DLC won't change.
Well, yeah, because the DLC will always try to keep at least they should in some ways, try to keep the canonical, like, sense about it, whereas mods, you get Thomas the Tank Engine flying at you as a dragon.
Yeah.
You can't really get that in a DLC.
I want to play through with that.
But, I mean, that's the kind of point with mods, is that I've seen some people, like, there was one guy I watched, his name's Slimesicle. He did a VR Skyrim run with over 600 mods. He didn't even remember half of what he had in there, and so it was just this psychotic fest of, like, freaking lightsabers getting trapped in a Mario world, like, Randy Savage horses chasing him. It's just, oh my heavens.
I like the Randy Savage dragons so much, because they're like, oh yeah!
Yep. Or the Randy Savage mammoths. Oh, God. But that is the idea of mods. Is someone was like, this would be funny or interesting if it was in here. Kind of like with Baldur's Gate. Oh my heavens, I went to check out the mods. Some of them actually look really cool. The furries are trying to make their way in as well.
Oh, goodness.
Because you're talking about, like, what was it? One of them called Hung Like a Minotaur. And then it had, oh, here's the Dragonborn, but more thick. And it's like, I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, I've been in parts of the internet where I recognize that. You stay away from my game, you absolute degenerates. Which is funny, because a lot of people are making such a big fuss about the sex scenes in Baldur's Gate, but that is literally, like, you're talking about a crumb or a single grain of sand of the content of that game. Even with those scenes, they literally happen once per playthrough. That's
Plus,
it.
there's an option to make it fade to black. You don't even have to, like, even partake in those scenes if you don't want to. You don't even have to romance the characters.
No, you don't. Unless you're Gale.
So, like,
Gale's thirsty for everybody.
I love Gale. He's so great. Dang it, Gale.
Which, I mean, the funny thing is I was morbidly curious with my first playthrough. I was like, sure, why not? I'll see what they do. The most it was two naked characters embrace, then cut to black. And that was the supposed to be uncensored version. And I'm like...
Yeah. It's so tasteful. I mean, maybe not for a minor, obviously, or whatever, but, like...
This is an immature game anyway. What are you doing letting your minor play it?
I know. Like, I assume that's what people are complaining about, or, like... Who else is playing this game but, like, a bunch of nerds? They're like,
what kid is going to want to sit down and actually try to play the game? Because that's one thing. There's enough people out there, like, I found somebody that went through the negative reviews of Baldur's Gates on Steam, And most of the negative reviews are people going, I don't like the combat, it's luck-based, it takes so long, and I'm like, what game are you coming from? This is not Call of Duty. You're not sitting there running around spazzing your hand all over the place. It takes time and tactics to actually be able to fight and finish a fight effectively.
Fortnite. That's where they're coming from. They're probably coming from Fortnite.
I like playing Fortnite, but I don't expect my Baldur's Gate to be Fortnite.
Yeah.
No, because that's the stupid thing. It's like you're going into a vegan restaurant and getting upset that they don't have steak. It's like, why don't you have steak? Because you do not even know where you are right now?
It's very silly.
It is.
'Tis a silly place, gaming.
Yes. And the really funny thing is there was a big controversy about the bear sex scene. That has actually been removed entirely. Like, even if you have it off...
They really removed it?
Yeah, if you have, like, the save thing off, and you can see the scenes, it just goes straight to black. You see nothing at all. You don't even see the score reaction.
Funny.
I know. Which is even funnier that the entire thing was essentially Larry in the studio and going, is this actually what you want? Is this what you want, you degenerate? Is this actually what you want, you degenerate? Which is...
You know someone's going to make a mod to bring it back.
Oh, 100%. Considering what I've seen out there, yeah, no, someone's going to try. They've already tried to like improve the characters and all that stuff, and of course there's like 50 different mods increasing the body proportions of characters. The one thing I was surprised about the most is that usually it is always the female characters that they change the most. There has been an exponential amount of people changing the male body proportions as well. And I'm sitting there going...
I got nothing to say to that.
So
I don't
great.
know.
It's freaking
It's
hilarious.
like playing Cyberpunk for the first time and being like, well...
I can do what? I have that, which is even funnier because so many people are hyper focusing on such a small detail that you don't even get a glimpse of unless you forcibly remove the clothes of your character. Like, look, even their nighttime attire. Yes.
I am going to have a playthrough where I'm going to be a barbarian and I'm going to remove every single bit of clothing and just sprint around the game naked to see if anybody reacts to the fact that my character is...
I will say one thing, they did not... I actually did something close to that because my barbarian so far, I've had the visibility of my armor off, and he is in nothing but his underwear the entire playthrough so far. Nobody has said anything about that yet. It made me sad. Granted, he's not buck naked, so I don't know.
I'll tell you how it goes. I think it's going to be funny.
That is one thing, because... They put in a lot of detail into that about some things. Kind of like, I was actually surprised because something with, Speak with Dead, that spell, apparently if you kill the person doesn't want to talk to you because you killed them. And so they forcibly stop it.
What a novel idea.
but here's an interesting thing though, is I actually thought about this. If the person's shape changes, they actually don't recognize you, so they will talk to you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's very intuitive.
I know. So I'm like, I love the big brain of the Valerian studio. All right. Thank you for joining us for this random rabble. If you liked it, like and subscribe and ring that bell if you feel like it. If you don't, well, I don't care either way. Ha ha ha. I should probably remove that, but I won't. Either way, stay awake, everyone.